We're so grateful to have you all here for our last session of the Pavilion, but I put it last because I think it's the most important session of Pavilion in terms of practical next steps. You know, you've learned a lot over these past 3 days. You've connected with folks. You've been getting all this information, but people always ask me after they leave events like this. And I remember I would leave events like this and be like, well, what do I do next? Who do I talk to? How do I talk to them? And for me, I think it's so important that we go beyond just traditional networking and talk about the value of mentorship. My mentors have been people who have literally been the difference of me getting a job or not. They've been the difference of me being able to host events like this or not. Mentorship has been one of my key critical tools for success on my green job journey. And shout out to my mentors, you know who you are, who literally helped make this pavilion possible. It's people who believed in me, have believed in my vision, even before I even knew what it was or where it was going to go. It was people who saw my potential and invested in me early on. And that's even before starting Green Jobs Board or even starting Brown Girl Green. My mentors were the ones that believed in me and made me see the vision before I could even see it myself. So I wanted to do this session with some incredible leaders across the climate space who are mentors in their own right to talk a little bit more on how mentorship has played a role in their lives and how you all can think practically about mentorship and how to implement this tool in your back pocket as well. So I'm so excited to have them each introduce themselves. And yeah, let's start it off. Just say your name, your organization you're representing, and yeah, why you're excited to be here today.
Hi, guys. Happy Thursday? Thursday. We're almost to Friday. Thank God. My name is Elsa. I'm the program director at Black Girl Environmentalist. We are a national organization doing a lot of work similar to Kristy. We're very good partners. Our work is really around early career Black girls, women, and gender expansive folk, and making sure that we resource them, whether that's through entry level points to the green fields. That could be fellowships, it could be mentorship. We do a lot of like professional development. We also do community development. We're building a place for people to belong and feel like, hey, I have room in this space to grow and grow my career, but also have a sense of community and belonging. We have 15 chapters across the country. And really our goal is really just to make spaces like this accessible and breaking down the barriers into the green economy for communities who are historically don't have access to those job points. And so I'm really excited to be here because this is right up my alley, and mentorship is really, really, really important to me, and it's been life-changing. So really excited to be here with you guys and just share a little bit about all of our journeys today.
Hi, everyone. My name is Isaias Hernandez. I've been here since I'm one of the co-hosts, actually. I'm contracted here until 5. No, just kidding. We'll have to time out soon. But I'm an environmentalist and media creator. I created my independent environmental platform, QueerBrownVegan, where I talk about climate science and culture and education. And I'm also the senior strategic partner at the Green Jobs Board. So events like here at the Nest, where we're hosting the Green Jobs Pavilion, and other events from LA Climate Week to San Francisco Climate Week, you could talk to me about any branded partnerships. And I think mentorship really played also a key role in what I'm doing today. And I truly believe that, I wouldn't be here without the people in my industry, but also people who look like me, that came from the same cultural identity as me, but also that were 20, 30, 40 years older than me, that have been some of the most powerful people I've learned from in this industry today.
Hi, everyone. Again, thank you guys so much for being here with us this afternoon. It's really, really great to see everybody's faces. I'm Marcene Mitchell, and I'm the Senior Vice President for Climate Change at the World Wildlife Fund. I have been working in climate change for decades now, so I have really seen it all. I've really seen the industry evolve. I've seen change. I've been an environmentalist for a long time and have been through it all. I come to this mentorship discussion not like as an expert, but as someone who has struggled with it and really had to go through my career and find my way through it. So I hope when I able to talk with you, it's not just as like an expert who just this was so easy, but as someone who's really taken this on on over time and now have mentored many people myself.
Peace, everyone. Marcus Sibley. First of all, thank you for hanging out, and shout out to Green Jobs Board for amazing conference here. Marcus Sibley. I am the director for National Wildlife Federation for New Jersey, New York, and Connecticut. I'm also the chair of the New Jersey Progressive Equitable Energy Coalition. We are a statewide Black and Brown-led organization fighting for energy equity. I wear a lot of other different hats, but they're always tied to social justice and environment, and showing people that mentorship is the same thing that Black and Brown communities have done forever. It is understanding that what I've learned, it is my duty to share that with someone else. And we have to continue to do that. And I'm excited about this panel so we can give some steps to how we can make sure it's a priority moving forward.
Incredible, incredible. So I want to kick it off by talking a little bit more on how mentorship has shaped your life. If you could talk about maybe a specific mentor who came into your life, how that actually happened. Was it like an actual organic meeting? Was it more formal? Talk about that experience and how it shaped your career.
I can kick this off. My journey into environmentalism started when I was very young. I was 15, 16 years old, and I got into organizing marches and summits and things like that across the country with 0 Hour. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar, but we hosted one of the first global climate marches in 2018. And so when I had joined the team, I was very new to environment. I didn't really know what it was. I just knew this was the first time I saw people talk about green issues as it related to people with a people first lens. And it really just changed my entire worldview. It just finally clicked for me. And so what was really unique and interesting was everyone on the team was like under 18 years old. And we were having a march with like thousands of people across the country. And we're just doing things that we're like, what the heck? We're 15 years old. I'm leaving class and I'm like learning how to like sign the contracts for the first time and negotiate things. And we wouldn't have been able to do any of what we did if we didn't have mentors. We had adult advisors, mentors who were on every team. At the time, I was doing partnerships and operations, and we had a press team, we had our executive team, we had all of it. And so each team had an adult advisor, but they weren't decision makers, they weren't stakeholders. They were simply just there to kind of be like, hey, we've organized marches before. Hey, we've cared about an issue that's bigger than us for so much longer. So we understand the fight that you're inheriting. This is a few ways that you can do it, and we're going to support you through that. And so it was more so a formal process, how I met my initial mentors in this space. But through just like movement work and trusting each other and working together and deepening those bonds, like some of those mentorships that I have met, they have ultimately changed the landscape of my entire life by connecting me to people in this space, by just broadening my horizons of what is an appropriate career. What can you do? Oh, you can do this. And so for me, mentorship really is where the base of my environmentalism grew, is like having people who are older than me be like, this isn't our first fight. This isn't our last fight. We can do this together. You're new and I'm going to help you through it, but I'm not going to make those decisions for you. I think as a young person, when I was in high school, being empowered by people who just wanted you to be powerful in your own right was life-changing. And it just set the precedent, I think, for the current youth climate movement as we all kind of just trickle into our own spaces, whatever part of the environmental sector we go into. Mentorship is ultimately what cemented our leadership and our growth into this space. And I don't think a lot of what we do would look like what it did if we didn't have people like mentors. My mentor, Natalie Me Bain, who was like, I'm going to put my resources on the line. I'm going to put my name on the line, and I'm going to uplift what you guys have going. And so that's just one of many ways mentorship has completely changed my life for the better.
I would say that mentorship to me also means community and also connection. And I acknowledge my mother, my sister, in my early career, I had the very privileged to work with a lot of managers and directors that were women of color who saw a lot of my potential and always were really pushing me to make sure that I wasn't just adding my feedback, but I was implementing things and really accelerating. In my early 20s, I was in mid 20s, I was in this very weird transition where I was transitioning from this entry level person associate going into a more junior slash early manager role. And I remember I met my mentor, Jeanette Fernandez, who is now my manager too. She we actually met because at an event she saw that I spoke about my culture as being Latino and the issues I had gone through growing up in poverty and why I cared about the environment. And she pulled me aside and she said, I want to talk to you. And she was a very like serious person, and I didn't know whether or not she liked me or not. It was that moment of like, well, she works for this organization and she wants to meet with me. And we sat down and we got food and she's like, "What are your dreams?" And I was just like, "I don't know, to live, but like, I don't know what I want in my life." And she's like, "Well, what are your goals? Like what do you do?" And she taught me like, like what are you trying to pitch to this world in your career? Like what are you trying to solve? What is your niche that you're trying to do in environmental work? And I was like, I don't know, like I like media education and teaching people. And she's like, "Okay, but what do you offer?" And she really asked me these like critical questions that I couldn't really answer to myself. And she would see that like, you do public speaking, you do consulting, you do all these things, but you don't know how to sell yourself and you downplay yourself. She's like, "I see that you downplay yourself because you don't believe in yourself in those moments." And I said, "It's true. I don't, because I don't know what I'm really doing." And, she slowly started to really push me in a sense of, in a healthy way, of like to do things of like, go to these events, pitch yourself, and not saying pitch yourself, but build a friendship with people. I have really bad social anxiety. Who has social anxiety?
Everybody.
Okay, same. I have really bad social anxiety, which my friends laugh at me and say it's untrue, but I really do. And she would tell me like, "Okay, always do your prep work. Always look into the room. Always start a conversation. Try to make a joke with someone. And it's okay. You're not going to connect with everyone in that room. And you're also not trying to sell or seal a business deal that same day. You're here to make a friendship with someone. You're here to build with someone authentically." And I would say that that's not even a formula. It's because I love the people I've connected with, but the people I've built a friendship with 6 months later, 8 months later, a year later, 2 years later, 3 years later, have translated into business deals simply because they have seen the consistency of not just me meeting with them, but me checking in on them, texting them, "How are you? Let's get coffee." And I know it's really hard to seek connection in this world because I think for younger generations, we've lived through the pandemic, our social skills suck, but it's like those moments of taking initiative with meeting people and being consistent will get you a very long way.
So when I started out, I had a mindset that if I was really good at what I did, then that would, push me forward. And I think for the very early years, that worked, right? I worked really hard. I was really smart. I did very competent, and I was progressing. But at a certain point, I kind of got stuck. And I'm like, well, why am I getting stuck? Because I'm so good and I'm working really hard and all of that type of thing. And what I learned, and I wasn't really focused on mentorship. I wasn't really focused on the networking. I was focused on doing the good job. And what I learned is like two things that I hope people will take away is that one, you can't do it on your own. You cannot do it on your own. And then second, that you can't do it with ability alone. You think you can do it with just being good and ability alone, but you can't do it with ability alone. So you really need to be able to have that mentorship, have that network, etc. And so as I started to realize that, I took the responsibility, and this is a third thing, is taking the responsibility for building those relationships. And often if you're younger too, I mean, these guys were very bold and confident, but often some of us aren't. And you think, oh, I can't bother that, professional person. Oh, they didn't return my call the first time, so I don't want to bug them. But you really do have to take the responsibility to maintaining a relationship and being very intentional about it. Not being a bug, but being really intentional about it. And then the other thing that I found was that there are two types of things. There's mentorship and then there's sponsorship. Now, sometimes your mentor can be your sponsor, but sometimes not. And the difference, I don't know if people know what I mean. A mentor, I think of, is someone who you come to for advice, who you can talk to, who asks you the hard questions, who really helps you reflect what you need to learn, because really, we all know what it is deep down inside. It's just helping us get that out. A sponsor is someone who's in the room who can make it happen, right? So you've heard sometimes over here, oh, I had this mentor and then they were able to bring their resources. Or I had this mentor and they were able to, when they were looking for a job, they were like, oh, Marcene, right? So that's the thing. So you have to be intentional, not only about guidance and a mentorship, but also about sponsorship. Who do you know who can bring resources, who can be in the room where it happens, who can remember your name and can bring you, along in that way?
That was excellent because you got to have people to make those dreams come to life. So my journey to this space is a little bit different. I have a master's degree in social work. I used to be a family therapist. I've been touring the country for now 19 years doing presentations all across the country and also outside of the country as well. So when I came into this space, I absolutely needed mentors, but until I was able to get mentors, and I'm still gaining mentors to this day, but until I was able to get people who would pour into me and invest into me, my mentors were my ancestors. And that's just the truth for me. I became the environmental chair for the state of New Jersey NAACP because I recognized that the environment was killing us just as much as police. But now I learned it's far more than police. The pollution that is the havoc that is played on Black and brown communities. So as I was in this space and I'm building this committee, because at the time our state wasn't making investments in the environment as they should, as I'm building this program, what's pushing me is that the same people who fought for civil rights, they were fighting for the environment. So I'm looking to my ancestors saying, I have to do what you're doing in this particular space. So the one key I want to really break down to everyone is the mentorship is a relationship where you're going to learn and you're going to build, and you're grateful if you can connect with a person. You're grateful if you can connect with people. Sometimes for various reasons, you won't have the ability or the opportunity to connect with people. So your mentor may not even know you. The person you're learning and gaining from could be someone who you work next to, but you're picking up. You get in that little game every day. You're seeing how they interact. That the goal is to pick up skills and lessons and resources that you use for yourself and then that you then share with someone else. So once I got into the professional field and I've started working for NWF, I had people like, I'm honored to have one of the people here, Barbara Bramble. And I'm gonna say it again, use your Googles, you can look up who Barbara Bramble is. But I had the honor of working with Barbara and through meetings, seeing how she conducted herself in meetings, after meetings, hearing her tell me, well, maybe you should think about this. And another mentor I had was a person named Curtis Fisher. He was my manager. Curtis would literally take the time with me and say, you know what? I love your passion, but sometimes your passion can come off a little sharp. And even though you're telling the truth, people can't handle the truth that way. Let's figure out another way you can say that. And I needed that because I'm a very passionate person, and I have to understand me being excited, me being as a Black man, sometimes that intimidates people, and I have to make that adjustment. Now, is it their fault they're intimidated? Absolutely. That's their fault. But does that change the reality? No, it doesn't. So I'm saying connect with people best you can, take the positives, and also understand that your mentor may not be perfect. There may be some flaws, but there may be things you can get from them and apply it to your life. So I've seen a lot of people say, oh, this mentor was this or that. I'm not talking about that. The this is what I used, and the this is what I'm using to help other people. So I would just say, when you're looking for your mentor, understand that no one is perfect. Everyone is learning and growing. We're continually getting better. We're continually getting understanding who we're supposed to be. Take people's flaws, but understand that it's okay for a person to have a flaw. A very flawed person could be a best mentor in the world. I grew up in Newark, New Jersey. I had a lot of people who were very flawed from societal standards, but they're the ones who were encouraging me every single day. So understand a person's flaws doesn't take away from their ability to give you a gem that can plant a seed that can be what you grow into.
Oh, I love that. So, all right, we want to take this incredible advice because obviously, as you can see here, all of us were shaped by our mentors. It was a critical part of our success and our ability to be sitting here with you all today. So, I want to make this action oriented from you all. How would you recommend someone if, we're about to do a mentor mentee mixer? So, let's give two options: A, if it was in person, or B, if it was digital, like a LinkedIn outreach. What's a way that folks in this audience could approach someone if they want them to be a mentor that wouldn't come off like pushy or transactional? Like, how would you recommend phrasing that or approaching that? Yeah, if folks want to go around and give advice on how they can approach that.
I can share. I think something Isaias said is when you're going out and you're connecting with people, you're looking for a friend. You're making an organic connection. Like, I don't go outside and think, I'm going to go to this event and I'm going to leave with 2 connections. I'm going to find a business partner and a mentor, and I'm going to find a grant that I'm going to apply for and get that's not realistic. It's very, you can't plan out connection. It comes to you. And so when you're at events, like if you are someone who's naturally anxious or reserved, you have the power in your court because you can go up and choose who you talk to. Like, you don't have to wait for people to come up to you. You're finding people who are like-minded, who have similar goals, similar ambitions, maybe a similar background. I think mentorship at BGE, we have a community college and HBCU priority mentorship program, which we launched for the first time last year. And it was one of the first, or one of the few, if any, mentorship programs specifically for Black girls, women, and gender expansive folk within the climate sector. And so that was a very structured program that we had. But like opportunities like that exist like digitally. We're actually launching it again in January for those of you who might be interested in being a mentor or a mentee. Like, we have structured programs for people to do that. But me, I love to go outside and just connect with people without wanting something in return. It's almost like when we're attached to the outcome of something, it's like it's just a little harder to reach. But all those people that I just met maybe last year, randomly, I meet them again this year, or I see them over and over again, and you build that relationship over time. And with mentorship, it's not a one-way street. You're not like punching up like, hey, can you be my mentor and can you give me all of your gems and all of your connections? Like, your mentors want a relationship that is also meaningful and beneficial to them. And so like when you're connecting with someone, you have to give in exchange. I'm not saying you are in a position to give the same that your mentee can, but meaningful connections, connections to other people, things like that are really important. And it can be very organic. I think we kind of complicate things when we're looking for mentors or sponsors or things like that. So keep it simple.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say like, when you're networking, some of the most general things that, if you're trying to have social anxiety is usually talk about travel, your food, and if you have animals. People like there's moments I don't really vibe with the person, but I'm like, do you have a dog or a cat? And then they're like, let me show you. And it's like, okay, it's like a safe conversation because you're like not going to politics. You're just like, talking about something very like generic. But I think that like it's like, I think adult friendships do not look the same as they did when you were in college or high school. I think we have to normalize that adult friendships sometimes means I'm only going to see you once a year. I come to New York now once a year, and I used to live here. I only see my friends once a year now, but the bond with them is so strong. When I met them maybe 4 years ago or 3 or last year at Climate Week, New York City, and now like we're building things together. So I think we're just reminding yourself that like, it's like how you built friends around you in your life. Like your heart knows when you feel comfortable around a person. And, even if you're socially awkward, like it takes time to build it. And one bad interaction doesn't mean that because, Kristy and I actually met in college and we didn't really have the strongest interaction when we first met. And, now we're like best friends. So, I always, and she was actually part of my mentorship journey too. So, I think you need to remind yourself that you never know. And also too, is that, think friendship connection first, business last.
So, building on what Isaiah said, I think at the heart of mentorship or lasting mentorship is connection. right? It's really about making a connection. And I know that, at least in the career that I've had, and today, the people that I work with actually does not look like this audience, right? I do not look like a lot of the people that I work with. And we all know that it's easier to make connection with people who kind of look like us, talk like us, seem like us. And so how, if you're out in this broader environmental world or in the climate world, and people are not looking like you or talking like you, how do you make that connection? And I think for me, the real tool is to be curious, right? Is to be open. It's like, what can I learn from this person? What do this person and I have in common? And so people who you don't think look like you or talk like you or have the background with you, there are things, whether it's having, that cat. I just interviewed someone and we both had a dog named Cashew. I mean, how random is that, right? And so, find those areas of connection, because that's really what's going to take you through, and be open and curious and say, there's something I can learn from this person. And again, when it comes down to responsibility for that, often people, again, who do not look like you may not feel comfortable with you right away, and that you need to take and say, there's a common humanity amongst us, and we can find that connection if I'm just open and relaxed and curious. So that's how I'd say go into this mentorship.
Absolutely. And I would say, going to Kristy's point about this is possible because of the roles, the roles of the mentors in your life. So something of such a grand scale of this came because of you met a few people, you nurtured a relationship, and now it flourished into something that you're doing annually. So my point there is the connection that you make with your mentor could literally be life altering. And I want us to think about that. That relationship that we build with that person that we meet could literally change the trajectory of not only your life, but the people in your family's lives. So I want us to think about it from that level of how significant it is. Now I want you to think about, if something could be so impactful in your life, should you allow any anxiety to stop you from speaking to someone who could change your life? I want us to really think about that. Like the pressure of the anxiety could feel like a mountain, and you could be sweating, and you could see a person that is in the field that you want to go into, and they could be a great person to speak to, but there's everything inside of you is saying, I don't want to talk to them. I'm afraid they're going to say something. The trajectory of your life could depend on you connecting with that person. So I am saying, have that in the back of your mind when all the weight is on you saying no. Allow your future self to say, hell yes, go say hello, and then follow all the instructions that the panelists gave you of not being transactional. Go in and just try to say, hi, this is where I am. I just want to meet you, because one day I would love to be in a position where I can help people the way you're helping people. Would you mind if I gave you my email address? Are you on LinkedIn? Can I connect you? Can I connect with you? Can I email you? Be humble. Humble yourself. I would love the opportunity to speak with you. Make it clear that it's important to you that you connect with them, because this could be your moment. Right now, in this room, could be the person that you connect with to have the event that follows this event in LA or whatever. We don't know that, but I'm going to say, as a social worker, family therapist, I recognize how difficult it may be to make that first step to go speak to someone. But I implore you to find the strength to do it, because you never know what that one domino piece can mean for your life.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, I think we can honestly wrap up the panel on that note, because it was so powerful. But yeah, it's important for each of you to get over this feeling or this self-doubt that like you're not good enough or you don't deserve to be in these rooms. That's exactly why we built this space, why we have this platform, is because I believe in every single one of you that you deserve to find your space in this movement, and we're going to help you find it. So let's give them all a round of applause.